Hello and welcome everyone to the Shift with CJ podcast. Today's podcast is special. Why? Because we've spoken about a lot of things when it comes to health, mitochondria, nutrition, sleep, exercise, hyperbaric. But you've never heard me speak about sex and transformation via emotions and sex and all of those things. So today I have someone really special for you. My guest on the show today is a speaker, a coach, a somatic trauma release therapist, a transformational entertainer. He's a super viral content creator, and you'll find out why. His work has been showcased, or people have seen it. 40 million people. That's insane. 40 million people. This guy has worked with BBC, Vice, Times Magazine, The Guardian, and so much more. He also surprisingly consults with top brands like Samsung, Mercedes, and Disney in creating content. So, everyone, please welcome the sex god or the sex expert, or yes, sex expert, Shaft. Shaft, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
It's a pleasure to have you.
So, holy shift, holy shaft. I mean, we've got
Yeah.
a shift and a shaft going on here.
Yeah, these are the
Fantastic.
two S's going on in the biohacking studio. So I'm
Beautiful.
super intrigued to have you. So, Shaft, first, if people would go to your Instagram or to your website or look at you online, they would find out that some of your pictures, you look like a mystical character from like these old school Indian, uh, tales, like let's say the Ramayana or something like this. Were you always like this? Like, who inspired you to get this sort of a look? This is my first question.
So, my look comes from
Within.
within meditation, visions. I'm an Aquarian, so I see things. And
High five. I'm an Aquarian too.
Are
I see things
you?
as well.
bro, we're going to be best friends.
27 January. What are
Wow.
you?
I just did an aquarium festival in Koh Phangan for all the Aquarians, and everyone that came was like, I describe Aquarians like if Slytherin and Gryffindor had a baby, it'd be us.
Oh man,
Fully dark, fully light, but fully integrated, and we're not in conflict.
there we go. That sounds
Shiva,
like us.
Shiva, Lord Shiva is known as the destroyer and the creator.
Mhm.
He hangs around with the ghouls and the goblins in the underworld and the gods and the goddesses in the upper realms, and he's like one of the main deities there. I also love all religions, just so you know. Belief is my main thing, and when I see visions, I bring it from the future into the present, anchor it into the now, and we like our default setting is Aquarians are charismatic because we got a message, we got lots of information we need to tell this present dimension that we're in.
Mhm.
And that's why we've always been the outsiders. No one really gets us.
I wish I met you a few decades ago when I was trying to figure things out. I'm like, why am I so different?
So different.
It's like,
Why doesn't anyone understand me? Why is everyone so stupid?
yeah, exactly. Right?
Everybody, look, you could do things quicker and faster this way.
Yeah, and people are like, no, I'm
No.
gonna be boring and I'm gonna do the boring things.
Exactly.
So
I see visions, and David Bowie and Madonna.
Mhm.
Every 7 years or so, they change their look.
Mhm.
Every 7 years, your body changes, your cells changes, and you become a new person. From 0 to 7, you are fully enlightened. From 7 to 14, you were hating everybody.
Yeah.
That's when your third eye starts to get calcified. Everyone starts imprinting their belief systems onto you. Then the thing that you love the most, I was always making content, making art, and manifesting and playing in a forest, being a Jedi. That got shut down, and Mum said, "Get married, get job,
Become an engineer.
exactly doctor, lawyer."
Yeah.
But I stuck to my guns, and I became an artist. So that's what I am.
What kind of artist?
I used to be a music video director, graphic designer, illustrator, art director, but then I found that people just wanted to take pictures of me because of the visions I have in my meditations and the clothes I was designing for myself. And then my body became the art. I became the art. My soul became like the paint, and my body became the canvas. I just started to create. I became living art. And ever since 2014 when I stopped drinking and taking drugs, and I had this mental breakdown and broke through into this new version of myself. I became the
The
living piece
shaft.
of art, the
Yeah.
Shaft. But I was a unicorn back then. Then I became a tantric sex guru. Then I became a sacred sexual Jedi. Now I'm just the Shaft.
Just a shaft. Well,
Yeah.
it sounds like an umbrella term for all these superpowers. So
Integration.
when you're talking about visions, are these like for people to get their heads around this? So is it like one day you decide to meditate and you're deep into meditation and you're literally looking at the future from a third person perspective, or like can you describe to us, because a lot of people would like just think you might be dreaming,
Yeah.
but like what is these visions?
So last year, I think the most easiest way to describe it is through what happened last year. I went to Mind Valley. I got introduced to this new world that I've never seen before. I come from this tiny pocket of humanity called the Tantra bubbles. It's within the conscious spiritual bubble. There's a tiny little vortex of people called the Tantra people, and we go around the world liberating people through certain exercises and belief systems, and basically making sure no one has any more belief systems. So they start believing in themselves and shouting, "I love my life, I love my body, I love myself." So I broke free from that world, found found Mind Valley, and Vishen Lakiani, the guy that runs it, did a 6-phase meditation. In there, I had such. He guided us through this future version of yourself, and it's basically what I do with my other practices, but he did it on a mass level. He guided us through this meditation where I saw the future version of myself, where I'm wearing all white. I'm a bit more, basically have your physique.
Okay, thank you.
he's
I'll take it as a
he's
compliment.
incredibly buff. That's why I'm trying to get jacked. I'm like, I got a good foundation, but that's the level I
Yeah.
want to get to. And I saw myself all dressed in white, had these amazing outfits. Then I go to Bali and I design it. And this trouser that I'm wearing now, I designed it. There's nothing like this on the planet because it's completely unique.
Yeah.
Taking all the cool stuff and I bring it in. I'm a dancer and a performer and an artist, so I need stuff for my movement practices. And this just makes me feel powerful, move with such grace and power, and everyone loves it. Like when I'm down the gym wearing these, it's like, what are you wearing? I want a pair.
Yeah,
So I
looks
saw it
pretty
in a
cool.
meditation,
Interesting.
and he guided me through it. So yes, believe in your dreams is what I'm trying to say. Believe in the visions.
Believe in the visions. And one of the things that you mentioned, Vishen Lakiani, who's I think he's the founder and the CEO or the operating director of Mind Valley. And the 6-phase meditation, it's quite unique because unlike most of the meditation where a app or a guru or someone would just tell you to just be calm and be focused, think about your breath, or like just focus on your breath. I believe this Vishen Lakiani's 6-phase meditation is a bit different because and correct me if I'm wrong, some of the few stages that I remember is first you've got to close your eyes, and this is a very active meditation where you are thinking about something rather than not thinking about anything. So that flies in the face of most of the things.
Exactly.
Most of the traditional forms of meditation. But so first thing first, you are sitting down, meditating, closing your eyes. You think about someone who you really love, someone who gets could be your dog, it could be your mom, it could be your girlfriend or your daughter, and then you sort of radiate that bubble of energy and light around the world. So you're
Gratitude.
extending that throughout the whole universe. Then you've got gratitude, you've got forgiveness, you've got your ideal day, and you've got prayer. What am I missing? Missing one?
I was so in it that I don't know what the actual stages are, but,
Yeah, but
it's
it's-
all the same.
Okay.
So what I learned in Tantra is that,
Mhm.
but we do something way more fun.
Way more fun. Yeah, and I can't wait to explore that. So you're also, when people talk about you, or when I get to learn about you, I also learned that you are a transformative entertainer.
Yes.
What does transformative entertainer mean?
It's again, I'm an Aquarian and I worked in advertising for 20 years. I'm good at making up stuff. So I've made up every single job title I've ever had.
Wow, man, you gotta give me one later.
So transformational entertainer is something that I created because I realized that people are watching shit. They're watching crap on TV, but they want some kind of entertainment.
Yeah.
I might as well. Again, I worked in advertising. I used to be very good at selling fear. So you buy stuff that you don't need because we make you feel shit. And the solution is this shitty product.
Okay, so it's like the
It's the opposite
FOMO
of
sort
that.
of thing. Yeah.
So what I've realized from understanding mass psychology, and that's what advertising is, how to control a population, I realized if I actually get people through entertainment, laughing, seeing somebody that's like a full embodied, actualized, entertaining human being, like charismatic, moving my body in ways that they've never seen. People like to see humans that do superhuman things, and I could do superhuman things. And so I've got millions of views of my YouTube channel, my personal YouTube channel now, because I could do things with women. So I've developed the Shaft method, which is like a beautiful movement practice where you come into a state of presence with another human being, use a lot of coconut oil, and go into a state of divine dance with another human being.
Does it
And
have to be of the opposite sex?
it could be anybody.
Okay.
Like, remember, I come from a place where there is no duality. So it's not really about man, woman. It's about energy. Humans.
So you're trying to bring in the center point, which is a non-duality based existence.
It's like I'm happy and sad at the same time. I cry and laugh at the same time. I've been extremely rich but poor at the same time. Like I'm all of the emotions. And a lot of people think it's just black and white and it's this way and not that way. I'm like, but if you got a choice between A and B, how about you choose A and B?
Yeah.
So I'm all of it.
What is probably some, sorry to cut you off, but like what are some of the advantages that you think to live in a non-duality state where you are nothing and everything?
No judgment.
No judgment. Okay.
Now, this is one of the strict qualities you need if you come into one of my spaces, which means it's very, very exclusive.
Yeah.
So you have to come into my realm by letting go of judgment. We have a default setting, which is our brains are created to make us feel safe, and we will always judge. We always judge a book by its cover, and I do it all the time. But the fact that I get judged so much means that I treat people how I do, I want to be treated myself. So I definitely don't want to judge anyone because I'm getting judged all the time. The ultimate price of freedom when you become yourself, and a lot of people listening to this podcast, they'll understand the more work you do on yourself, the more you become. If we're in a simulation, the ultimate aim of the simulation is to be yourself. And that's through like healing a lot of past traumas, especially around the conditionings around mummy and daddy. That's a bulk of my work. Conditionings from the town and the home you grew up in, especially the country you grew up in. Then there's a whole universal conditioning. This is the foundation of Tantra. This is like liberating through the body, and then you naturally start to get these superhuman abilities. You start to feel more. You start to feel other people more. You're able to understand subtle energies. Of course, the side effect is you're incredible in making love and having multiple orgasms and activating every single chakra and boosting your immune system, living longer, letting go of all that baggage that you carry and the hate that you carry for humanity and the pain that you carried in relationships, so you don't have to project it onto other people in current relationships. You're able to forgive more, and also you're able to be less judgy.
Wow, that's
which is freedom.
Yeah, that's a very good explanation. Thank you for that. Do you have a hack for anyone who's listening? So, like you mentioned, we have a default setting. I also think that we're with evolution, we have been designed to sort of a few emotions to rule us. First one is, if you're a living organism, the first rule that every organism has is to be fearful. Because if you're not scared of a few things, you might be eaten.
The dodo, that happened to them.
Yeah, so whether it's a dog or a cockroach or a human, we're all run by fear or the fight or flight response. So we've got fear, run away from everything, or get in touch with everything and dominate them so you can eat it. The second thing is eating everything, because if you don't eat, you don't survive. So those are the survival things. The third one is creating more of you, like fertility or having sex.
Pain or pleasure, that's all we're designed to do.
So
I focus on pleasure.
Okay.
We forget about pleasure.
So give me a sort of a hack that people can use to be non-judgmental today. So if anyone's listening, they're driving around, or they want to look at a person, or and not have this preconditioned thing that probably we're evolved to do, because it's much easier for you to have a negative bias and look and analyze the danger rather than step into everything and like get eaten. So what would be that one thing in your practice, or whether it's giving everyone love, or like seeing yourself in others? That's what I've heard from a lot of people. But what would be that thing?
I think the ultimate thing is you are not your thoughts.
You are not your thoughts.
Yeah.
Okay.
So let me explain that. The heart is always beating. You don't have to worry about your heartbeat.
Yeah.
The lung-
86,000 times per day.
Exactly. As long as it beats, you live.
Mhm.
The lungs, they're always going to be breathing. You don't have to worry about that. But you can master your lungs, and I could actually hold my breath for 4 minutes.
Oh wow.
What's your
Cool.
record?
Man, I think 2 minutes.
I
2
win.
minutes. Yeah.
So healthy,
if
healthy
you
competition.
Win, well, since we're all together, so it's like you win. That makes me win.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah. Let me beat a bar. I could get to 4. I think
Yeah.
you get more. So heart always beats. Everything's always moving. It's just the body's doing the body thing. The brain is always thinking, and it's always in a state of analyzing fear or pleasure. Like avoid pain, embrace pleasure.
Yeah.
So when it comes to judgment, the brain is just trying to fit you in a box. And no one could put me in a box, because first of all, they don't even see the color of my skin. No one sees that I'm brown at all, because they're still trying to figure out, like,
which world is he from?
Exactly. So this guy does not look like anything I've ever seen.
Yeah.
And I've always had that since I was a little kid. So I've been very blessed with my personality is so big that they can't put me in a box. So I go to an extreme where I strike curiosity. So here's the thing about your brain. You are not your thoughts. Now, you could analyze the stories whilst you're talking to someone, and as long as you don't get attached to the thoughts and allow the emotions to trigger you into action and go, I don't trust this person, then you're in a bit of a state of freedom. So that's how I work with life. I trust myself. I believe in myself, and I'm strong in my boundaries. And this is one of the core things in Tantra, having boundaries like a ninja. Like everything's so slow, and I'm conscious and sober that I don't have to fear anybody or anything. And I also know I could run really fast. So
that's good. Okay, so you've mentioned the word tantra many times.
Yeah.
Also, if people are listening, he's got an excellent video on YouTube and some of the other websites which says 10 questions you want to ask a tantric sex guru. So let me ask you the first question. What is tantra according to you?
Well, if you watch that video that was created by Vice, then that is literally one of the best explanations on the internet. And that's why it's generated over 40 million views since 2017. I can honestly say I was one of the main pioneers in 2017 that brought this new wave of Tantra onto the planet. Again, Aquarian, future technology, old technology, telling to the masses, this is the best thing. And people, now it's normal. And what I'm trying to get people to understand, it's not about orgies and orgasms and yoni massages and like sex. It's about longevity, but also breaking through the shackles that all of us have been placed under. Again, mummy daddy issues is the foundation. My ancestors, my parents, as soon as I was born, they got me into this program that I had to be a doctor or a lawyer. Anything outside of that, I'm a failure. Got to get an arranged marriage. Anything out of that, I'm a failure. They did something horrible to my penis, which fucked me up for life, which is genital mutilation, also known as circumcision, which is a common practice. Now, if you say female circumcision, people say genital mutilation. If you say male circumcision, people go, oh, that's fine. That's how brainwashed we've been. It's not fine. Okay. Like we have like Muslim boys and Jewish boys and other people. If the creator created us perfectly, which they did, then that the most sensitive part of our human body should not be cut away without our consent.
Mhm. And what so this happens at a very early age. Are you saying that you sort of still live through that trauma, or now you've healed yourself, but that sort of memories are still accessible to people?
It's the most traumatic thing that happens to most boys, yes.
Okay.
And that echoes into every part of their life. I didn't know this until I discovered Tantra. I didn't know why I was an alcoholic or a drug addict until I discovered how to love my full body. I
Mhm.
realized that the reason why I became an alcoholic was because I was so ashamed of my penis.
Mhm.
The word lingam is the shaft of light in Sanskrit. It's also known as a healing tool. Like, a lot of men don't know that. It's like you could actually channel love and, like, okay, free giveaway for all men.
Yeah.
Feel love in your own heart. Send it down to your lingam, your shaft of light, and when you're making love to your wife, your partner, then send her that love.
Okay.
You're actually somatically imprinting love into the consciousness of your lingam, which has its own intelligence.
Mhm.
And when you're inside of a human being, you can actually channel that love inside of someone, and she will feel that, because women feel everything. So they're emotional, we're logical. We send that emotion into them. That becomes a healing tool for them. A lot of women, when they have sex, they sometimes randomly cry. They don't know why that happens.
Mhm.
Men shut down and go, "Shit, what did I do?" Women just also don't know why are they crying.
Yeah.
But what happens is the issues are in the tissues. The penis touches the inside of a woman's vagina. There's a thing called yoni de-armoring, which is a trigger point release system that you could do to release the tension from the inside of a woman's vagina. And this releases the stories, the traumas that's stored inside of a woman's vagina.
Mhm.
The word vagina is called yoni in Sanskrit, and that means a sacred space. So this is like a beautiful thing. It's the shaft of light, the sacred space come together in divine union, and you could actually heal each other. Marvin Gaye wrote a song, Sexual Healing. The most beautiful thing you could do together as human beings, the most pleasure you could feel, is making love. The extension of love, the physical act of love, is making love. Whoever created us made it really smart
Mhm.
that if we fall in love and make love, you'll have a baby. So this encourages us to procreate, to further prolong the human species on the planet. Also, the scientific and the biological chemicals and the data that's produced from making love is you boost your immune system,
Mhm.
you relax your nervous system, you come into homeostasis, so you can actually come to a place of peace in your body. When you have an orgasmic state, you could actually reach you can actually produce DMT. So go into these, and this is like conscious lovemaking, tantric
Mhm.
lovemaking, ritualistic lovemaking, not normal sex that everyone's having. You actually release DMT, you see visions of it. The clothes I wear and the things I do comes from these ritualistic sexual acts. It's a, a beautiful way to connect with your partner, connect to the divine. And women, they say three things when they reach these states. Do you know what they are?
Nope.
Oh my God.
Okay. Oh my God. So, guys, if you want to make your woman say, "Oh my God," then send some love through your lingam.
Exactly.
Yeah. So this is super interesting. The way you talk about having sex. Also, one of the most powerful things for human biology and biochemistry, neuropeptides, are some of these things. You release oxytocin.
Mm.
You're releasing these love hormones. You're creating serotonin, dopamine, all of these pleasureful and reward boosting circuits in your brain. And one of the things that you also mentioned is that it's really good for life, right?
Mm.
There are multiple studies that show if you're not having sex, your life expectancy or your mortality rate increases, which means people who are not having sex after 50, 60, they are at a much higher rate of dying from all cause mortality. That means like with anything, than people who are having sex. And when they look at the blue zones around the world, which are these geographical areas around the world where people are living abnormally, like sanitarians, which is easily up to 100, or super sanitarians, about 110, they even at like 90 and 100 are making sure that they have sex. So maybe having sex, or giving your biological system this feedback loop of, I'm still there to procreate, so that means I'm still useful in the community, I still have a role to play on this planet, that also increases your longevity. But how many people do you think are, I mean, you know this better than anyone else, but do you think, are we having sex as much as we were having before, like 10, 20 years ago? Like, what's the invent of technology and Instagram and, loneliness and all of those things? What has that done to people's sex lives?
There's an epidemic of mental illness on the planet, and more people, like in my own personal world, I had more people dying of suicide during COVID than COVID.
Hmm.
So there is a huge disconnect. I got into Tantra because I kept on meeting these really, really hot young women.
Hmm.
They weren't young. I looked in their eyes when I would be with them, and I was like, hang on, how old are you? At this time, I was like in my early 30s. I thought they were same age
Yeah.
as me, early 30s. They were 60. And I was like, hang
You have
on.
something wrong with your eye, or were you drunk at that time?
I was going through my sober phase. I was
Okay.
just breaking through. And I didn't know what Tantra was. Tantra was not a thing in 2014.
Hmm.
And I would be with these women, and they'd be 50 or 60 years old. And I would meet one of them, and they would say, I say, what is your secret? What are you doing? And they say Tantra. I'm like, I don't know what that is. Can you tell me what it is? They said, no.
Yeah.
They wouldn't tell me. And then I would meet another woman at another festival. I was a big part of the Burning Man
Oh,
world.
yeah.
That was
Always wanted to go there.
world. I was like the face of Burning Man 2012. Like whatever I do, I get really good at it.
Hmm.
I have this perfectionist mindset from advertising.
Yeah.
So it's like,
Even that's an Aquarian thing.
hey, so yeah, I'm going to be the world's best. So I would find these women, and they've obviously found the fountain of youth,
Hmm.
and it's a thing that they're doing, and they kept on saying Tantra, 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 Tantra.
Hmm.
Now, I only had one spiritual friend back then, and I said, hey, I heard about this thing called Tantra. All these women are doing it, and they're living forever.
Yeah.
And they're like, no, you don't want to do Tantra, mate. That's where you don't ejaculate. I was like, I am not going to do Tantra.
Okay.
Ejaculation is the best thing in life.
Yeah.
I'm built to ejaculate. I'm good. I just didn't do Tantra
Yeah.
until there's too much evidence and signs. And I did my first tantric workshop, and obviously I've never gone back to normal
Mhm.
life since. And I invented the term ejaculation, and I've got the Shaft method that
Ejaculation. That is interesting.
I don't
Tell us more
ejaculate.
about
I
it.
don't ejaculate anymore.
Okay.
So let me answer the question about longevity. So I traveled the world for 7 years, and I went from working I had 2 properties in London, 6-figure salary, working at the top agencies, working with Disney, Samsung, Nokia, all the top agencies. But then my life became like Doctor Strange, the first movie. From ashram to guru to experience to mastery to all this stuff.
Mhm.
And it was insane. And I basically learned what these women were doing, and my face changed, my body changed. Like I look at old photos of myself when I didn't go to the gym, and I had amazing abs. And I look incredible. I still look incredible now.
Mhm.
But without working out, all I was doing was the 3 things that they said. And I interview a lot of women who have found the fountain of youth. And do you know what the number one thing they say? They say 3 things over and over again. And I was like, so how did you live forever? What's your secret?
Mhm.
The number one thing is guess.
Sex,
Yeah. But a very specific style of sex.
where you don't ejaculate and keep the life force energy within yourself.
Exactly. You sublimate the energy. But the key thing is moving the spine.
Mhm.
So they're not going bum, 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 the traditional things that you'll see on the internet. They're doing a very specific style of, I call it the art of tantric lovemaking. It's like a whole category of a very systematic way of making love. It's
Mhm.
not what you do.
Okay.
It's completely the opposite of what every human is
Do
doing
you
on the
get the
planet.
same amount of pleasure?
No,
Okay.
you get a 10x your pleasure.
Mhm.
You live longer.
Mhm.
Like I'm 172 years old now, and I'm getting
Wow.
younger and younger and younger. It's fantastic.
Yeah.
So number one is tantric lovemaking,
Yep.
moving the spine, sublimating the energy up. Very unique, but very ancient way of making love.
Mhm.
Number 2 is dancing.
While you're having sex, or
I've invented a thing called sex static dance. Yes,
sex static
that is a
dance?
thing that I do. But I mean, if you love dancing, if you love sex, why not incorporate both
Mhm.
with your partner or your partners? So number 2 is dance, movement, meditation. There's a thing called ecstatic dance. Your body people, when they hear certain music, they just can't stop but move and
Hmm.
dance. The body was built for movement, not sitting in front of your computer.
Yep.
So this is another thing. Again, moving the spine.
Hmm.
And number three, the third thing that they all say is having a childlike curiosity for life and
Hmm.
playfulness. These women, they don't give a fuck. They're hilarious. So they never mention diet.
Hmm.
None of them have ever mentioned diet. And I've done this test and these interviews for yes, 9 years now. And none of them mention food. And I'm like, really?
Hmm.
Interesting. So yeah,
Yeah, it's interesting, this whole concept of getting all the things that get you to get into this pleasure or ecstatic states,
ecstatic
and
state, that's what it
getting,
is.
yeah, getting this as a part of your general practice. Even the childlike curiosity, like I think a lot of people, especially after they grow old, about 40 to 50, they start losing their zest and their interest in life.
I
And
love the fact you said getting old, 40 to 50.
yeah, because
Do you know how old? I just celebrated my 172nd. No, I'm 43 years
yeah,
old. So I'm getting younger and younger.
but
I remember when I was like 21 and I
mhm.
met a 40-year-old, they were done. They were old.
And that's what you see these days as well. A lot of people say 40 is the new 20, but like that's a limited subset of the population. When you look at 40 or 50 years old and you take a general bigger population, man, people are getting depressed, they're on SSRIs. And one of the things that changes in the brain is that when you're younger, you're more curious about life, and you want to get into more experiences, even if you know that the experiences are going to be similar of some sort, but you want to try, you want to
Mm.
experiment, you want to see something different. And as this declines, there is also some evidence to show that your brain is like, man, what the fuck? Like, there is nothing more to look forward to. So let me start shutting off certain neural networks.
Mm.
And one anti-aging hack that I tell people is be more curious.
Yeah.
Be Keep laughing all the time. Like,
Yeah, this is the highest state.
yeah,
I've met so many enlightened masters.
yeah,
They're just like Yoda. All they do is laugh and dick about.
yeah. It's, I mean,
That's it. It's so simple, but yeah, everyone that goes down the spiritual personal development, tantric, no, tantra's different. Anyone who's getting more woke, they become so serious.
yeah.
When was the last time you laughed? When was the last time you danced? When was the last time you sang? And when was the last time you made love?
Oh, dance. I'm sure a lot of people would. I did 2 days ago, but
Really?
yeah,
Where?
I went for this holy celebration.
Oh, I was at
Yeah,
one of them. Yeah.
yeah. So
So on Wednesday, next, what are you doing next Wednesday?
I got told by Nadine, which is a common friend, about the event. But in the morning, I have
Yes.
a super important meeting. But we'll talk about this all.
Okay, because we what we want to do is bring wellness
Oh,
to the
yeah, tell us about it on the podcast.
yeah. I come from, so I'm a dancer.
Mhm.
Goes very against my very strict devout Muslim upbringing. You do not dance. But once I found dance, I just couldn't stop. And I've traveled the world. I've been like when I was in my 20s, I used to dance with Britney Spears and Maya dancers in LA and everything like that.
Whoa.
I was a break dancer. I've been
Yeah.
teaching dance as long as I can remember. So movement is my thing. And I found that a lot of people, especially in cities, they need to drink
Mhm.
to get drunk in order to disconnect, in order to connect.
Mhm.
That's not real.
Yeah,
It,
it's a negative feedback loop as well, because that triggers things like addiction, things
yes,
like
I mean,
dependence.
I work with addicts all day, every day, and that's my job to help people overcome their
What's
addictions.
that one thing that you find different about addicts? Like, what it makes? Is there some personality characteristics, or is it environmental characteristics, or
We're just sad.
okay?
We've got nothing to cling on to. Um, I I overcame my addiction 9 years ago, so I've
Mhm.
been drinking drug free since then. So I'm very blessed to be addicted to nothing.
Mhm.
And for everybody watching and listening, I want to give you a quick tool before going back to what happens on Wednesday.
Mhm.
Wellness Wednesday. We want to bring consciousness and like longevity and biohacking skills through singing, dancing, and breath work in events so more people could come together. So when I came off, and I took 1 year to do each of these. So first year was the easiest one, which was why was I smoking? Because I was
Mhm.
smoking cigarettes. Second year was why was I drinking? I was addicted to alcohol. And the third one was the hardest one. The easier one, the drinking was the worst one. Was why was I taking drugs?
Mhm.
So the first one was I asked myself why. Why am I smoking? Because I want to get fucked up. Why do I want to get fucked up? Because I hate my life.
Mhm.
Okay, then the the real work is I need to learn how to love my life.
Mhm.
That's a whole different story and a whole different thing altogether.
But you can teach people through
Yes, yes,
those.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So the next one, the next year was because remember when you go tantric, you'll live longer.
Mhm.
The addictions are the things that are killing you. Like I had liver damage. If I drank anymore, within 3 months I would have died.
Oh man,
I had kidney
you
damage.
pushed it.
Yeah, I pushed it really far. If I had I was drinking so much I was almost on the dialysis machine, and I almost died. Many times I've almost died, but I've overcome it because I just learned to. Key thing is loving yourself. So,
Mhm.
drinking. Why was I drinking? I once upon a time I used to get paid to dance on stage, but also I got paid to make out with people.
Interesting. Is that in London?
It was in London, yeah,
Okay.
yeah. We
Well, if
were.
you're listening to this and you're in London, you need a job, then
You could
this
actually
could be
get
one more thing.
exactly. You could get paid to
Get
make
some
out to.
extra bucks.
So I could. So I love relationships.
Mhm.
I want everyone to understand the reason why I'm living longer is because I have healthy, nourishing, amazing relationships with people I love,
Mhm.
including my mum and dad. Love my mum and dad. So I've done a lot of
Shout
inner
out to your
work.
mom and dad.
Yeah. So make that connection with your mum and dad the good, so you don't project any of their programming onto your partner, especially your loving, sexual, intimate partners. So I
Mhm.
have a lot of amazing lovers. So I couldn't connect to women anymore because I was drinking, and I stopped drinking, and I needed to figure out how to connect with women.
Mhm.
So that was the biggest challenge. I started to develop a thing called social anxiety. When you're drinking, you do not have social anxiety. When I'm drinking, I'm the first person dancing on the tables and making out with everyone and having a great time. And I raise up the energy in the room and go, let's party. And life was easy.
But then when you stop drinking,
I'm a
that's where,
mess.
yeah, that's where
Life
everything
fell
kicks in,
apart.
right?
Yeah, it's like, who am I without the alcohol? So I
Mhm.
had to do, to this day, I'm still working on my confidence. I still have crippling social
Oh,
anxiety.
I would never imagine that. I've met Shaft, at Mind Valley once, and I've seen his videos. Like, this is the last person on earth
I
that I
have
would
social
think had
anxiety, so
social anxiety.
it's so fucking shit. The reason why I have it is because I'm able to teach other people how to overcome it.
Hmm.
Like no one would think I have social anxiety, and the reason, and this is the construct that I've done to, and this is my strong suit. I have to somehow become the best.
Hmm.
I have to somehow become the best entertainer. Someone gives me a stage. I create the community so everyone knows who I am. So I don't have to say hello to anyone. So everyone just comes up to me and
Hmm.
says hello. And this again, tantra, analyzing the data, being present. Where's my blind spots? How have I constructed the reality where I'm not facing my main problem, which is approaching people, fear of rejection. Like it's so much psychology in
Yeah,
tantra. It's
interesting.
amazing.
Sounds like the tantric guys were one of the first biohackers out
They
there.
were. So that's how it works. They were the ultimate biohackers because it was all about the body.
Hmm.
Tantra, Taoism is the physical and energetic understanding of bodies of just sitting still and just seeing what's going through you. It's
Hmm.
fascinating. And what I've done in the last 9 years, I've distilled it down to make it again advertising mindset. How do I bring very big esoteric things into simple language?
Hmm.
So the final thing I overcame was drugs. Why was I taking drugs? Because it made me feel like I was back in the womb.
Hmm. So is that your safe space?
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's why I was a drug addict.
What kind
And
of drugs did you do?
anything, everything, all the
Okay.
time.
What was your favorite?
It was ketamine.
Ketamine. Okay.
But
I
now there's a thing called conscious ketamine, and you could
which I
use
want
it
to
for
do. Yeah.
which you could use for therapy. It's
Hmm.
cool now. There's so much conscious ketamine therapy happening all around the world. There's psychedelics being used,
MDMA, which is
MDMA
being used for
therapy.
couples therapy.
Exactly. So you could get into these states now. And this is the final piece of the why. Why was I smoking? Why was I taking drugs? And why was I taking drugs? I was able to get into those womb-like states and other transcendental states and higher consciousness states through my body, breath, sound, and movement. So I've been doing a thing called yoni de-armoring, yoni worshipping, and also
Yoni worshipping.
yeah.
So, can you give us like a quick thing on what is yoni worshipping? Because yoni, in lack of a better word, if you just want to keep it simply out there, is a vagina.
It's a vagina.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
I
you're
mentioned it earlier.
worshipping
I worship
the-
women's vaginas. Yes.
Okay, is it like any specific women or like the greater woman energy field or
No, it's just literally you have a human body that,
Okay.
that belongs to a woman who has a vagina.
Okay.
Goddess worshipping is a thing that we do in the tantric arts.
Mhm.
And there's lots of goddesses like Kali, Lakshmi. Again, we're not talking about religion here.
Mhm.
I would like to make everybody listening, because a lot of people are very strict in their religious beliefs.
Mhm.
I'm a Muslim. My parents are Muslim. I'm not a Muslim. I went to Jerusalem and I downloaded the 10 principles of unicornia. I literally thought
Unicornia.
I thought I was
That
a
is a
unicorn.
thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
I thought I was a unicorn for 7 years of my adult life. They were great 7 years of my adult life. My
Mhm.
whole 30s, I literally thought I was a unicorn.
You know,
So-
something interesting is
Yes.
that in India, in some of the villages, what they do is when they talk about, so for the first 10 years, in some of the ancient practices, they don't even let children go to school or any kind of formal education because they, 10 or 12, because they want children to already come into the world without having some sort of like a push down knowledge towards them in a formal sort of an education. So they're just out there playing, discovering their true selves, seeing what they're made of, seeing what their fears are, seeing what they like, what they dislike. And if you go to these villages and you ask them, like, you know, which village are you from or which country are you from, then they use this Sanskrit term called Aham Brahmasmi, which means I am cosmic. So I am the child of the cosmos. So a lot of these ancient traditions as well, like, you know, again, we're not talking about being religious. We're talking about some traditions who have invested way too much time, way too much energy to figure out a few things. So they just have access to more data and more
Yeah.
knowledge, like the biohackers. So these guys, they're even, you talk to these people and they're like, "Man, I'm a child of the cosmos." So there is then no more comparison because, like, if there's no countries, it's not like I'm from India, you're from UK or somewhere else. We're all like living in the same sort of like cosmos and we're all the same.
Well, this is the beautiful. So I want everyone to know I love all religions.
Mhm.
I spent 9 years in these tantric, spiritual, woke, conscious communities. All religions have the same thing. They're helping you reach enlightenment. If you haven't reached enlightenment doing these things, then you're doing it wrong, in my opinion, because they're all created to help you reach enlightened states, which is connect to God, Allah, Shiva, whatever it is. It's all the same thing. The hippies call it oneness. So I want everyone to understand the original biohacking is in all religious texts.
Mhm.
The brain loves stories, so this is why it's all laced in stories. All the tools are in there. Around your neck is some mala beads. There's probably 108 of them. I don't know.
Yeah.
So my mum, she's a Muslim. She has that. What's your religion?
Hinduism.
And you have that.
Mhm.
The Pope.
I'm cosmic.
Yeah. the Pope, he has that.
Yeah.
There's 3 different religions with the same
Mhm.
tool. Do you know about transcendental meditation, the science behind it?
Yes, but you can educate us more.
Exactly. So the teacher gives you a made up word that isn't even real. You could Google it. Give me the transcendental meditation word, and it gives you your age and a made up word. It's nothing real.
Yeah.
You have to say it over and over again. And all you're doing is reprogramming your mind to stop talking to yourself. Remember, you are not your thoughts.
Mhm.
So every single religion has one of these.
Mhm.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. My mom says, Allahu, 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 Allahu. I say, I love my life, I love my body, I love myself, I love my life, I love my body, I love myself, I love my life, I love my body, I love myself. So I actually, instead of hating my life, which is what I used to say, and hating my body, which is what I used to say, and I definitely hated myself, I started to love my life, love my body, and love myself. I'm chanting, creating a vibrational frequency, and I chant to all the gods. Like, I was living in Sweden for 2 years. Guess who I was praying to? Freya, the goddess of love.
Freya, the goddess of love. Okay,
Yes.
interesting.
And also Balder,
Mhm.
Balder the Beautiful. Every country has a story and a religion. And if you pray to the land, then you'll manifest things quicker. So here's a few things that all religions have. They come together with community and connection, usually on a Sunday or Friday, and they pray together.
Mhm.
I always say friends that pray together stay together.
Okay.
They're praying. They have these beads, so they're chanting, they're reprogramming their subconscious mind, they're focusing their attention onto something positive. They all sing, devotional singing. Every single religion has a mystical element to it. Hinduism has Tantra.
Mhm.
Um, Islam, Muslims have Sufism.
Mhm.
Judaism has the Kabbalah.
Mhm.
And Tibetan Buddhism has also Tantra.
Mhm.
So there's all Christianity. I don't know what their mystical one is,
Mhm.
but they definitely have a mystical
Well, I
one.
wanted to get your opinion on one thing. You mentioned
They do all
about
the same
a
stuff.
book which is called the Magdalene Manuscript.
Jesus was
is-
tantric.
Jesus was tantric. So this is, probably going to be super new for anyone who's listening, including myself. So since we were on Christianity, what is this Magdalene Manuscript? What is it about?
So so I come from a matriarchal society. Remember, I've not been part of humanity for 9 years.
Mhm.
I've been in these tiny pockets where it's just run by women. So
Okay.
I was a servant to women.
Mhm.
Can you understand that as a concept?
It's difficult to wrap my head around it. It's easier to say yes, but like
Yeah, you can't what
Yeah.
does that look like? It means that women
You only
are running the
worshipping all
show.
day.
Yeah, so I've been busy for a long time, and it's women helping women to raise up women. This whole feminine empowerment movement, I was at the forefront
Mhm.
and a pioneer in that industry. It's one of the biggest exploded industries on the planet.
Okay.
Pussy power,
Mhm.
boss bitches,
Mhm.
boss babes.
Pussy power. I like
Pussy
that.
power, yes. It was all about female empowerment. Their genitals, they create. The portal of creation is worshipped amongst them.
Mhm.
It's literally left men behind. Like
Interesting.
this is why women are just so far ahead, and men are dying at a rapid rate. There's no one like me that's out there. Like I should be teaching all this stuff for men, but I've been doing it for women.
Yeah, because you're a coach, right? You're an empowerment coach for women
Exactly,
as
for
well.
women, yeah.
Yeah.
So I've translated all that stuff for men now, and I'm actually working with men because the women is a Shaft. Where are all the good men? We need you to teach the stuff that you've embodied, because I don't ejaculate, I worship women. I'm also balanced my masculine and in my feminine. I'm both. I'm not just logical, I'm heart-centered as well.
So the
And I have a
Shiv
powerful
Shakti
lingo.
sort of.
Yeah, Shiva Shakti thing. Masculine, feminine energies. So the Magdalene manuscript it's all about these practices and the story about where was Jesus after he, like, there's no story of him when he was born to when he came back to Jerusalem.
Mhm.
Where was he during when he was out? Like, I'm actually a lot older now, but in his 20s, what was he doing? Apparently, he was in Egypt learning the temple arts, which is what I've embodied and studied for 9 years. The temple arts.
Is this connected to tantric practices?
100%.
Okay.
So yeah,
Interesting.
it's the same stuff.
Okay. It's just
Everything's the
different names.
same stuff. When I came out of Tantra, I realized Tony Robbins was using the same language as tantric practices.
Mhm.
Now I'm in this whole Mind Valley thing. It's like, oh, that's Tantra, that's Tantra, that's Tantra. Again, going back to the religious thing, they come together and sing gospel choirs, bhajans, kirtans, Sufis. They all sing devotional songs to open up the heart. It brings communities together. The mala, the beads, chanting to change your subconscious mind to focus onto something positive. They all prayed. Now, the power of prayer is so important. My mum and dad, they can't speak or write English.
Mhm.
Somehow, they went to England, and I was born there,
Mhm.
and they bought a house.
Yeah.
Some of the people in England are struggling to even buy one house.
Mhm.
They bought 2, 3. Then they bought a restaurant and then another restaurant. They
Wow.
can't read or write English. Do you know what they do? They pray 5 times a day.
Mhm.
Wherever the mind goes, the energy flows. They put so much effort and drive and prayer into manifesting material possessions that they could take money and give it back to the village in Bangladesh. My dad built the school there. My dad built the community there. My
Shout out to
dad's,
your dad.
I know, he's fucking amazing.
Yeah.
Elvis, love you, love you,
His name's
dad.
Elvis.
His name's Elvis.
Okay,
Yeah,
Elvis, we love you too.
exactly. And my mom's amazing. So they've done so much through prayer.
Mhm.
So all the religious stuff, yes, they've created the biggest wars on the planet,
Mhm.
but it's also been used as a tool to help people reach states of enlightenment.
Mhm.
It's the original manuscript for biohacking, Tantra, Taoism, yoga, Kung Fu. All these things are the original things to utilize the body to reach just a more pleasant state in your life. All this stuff is doing is helping you relax your nervous system. When my dad prays, every single time the cat sits next to him.
Mhm. The cats are more attracted to spiritual people for people who are listening. So if you have spiritual people around, or they can sense a balance in the energy systems, then you'll have snakes and cats.
More animals will come. I always say, well, like, what, you become like a Disney princess? It's like, yes, it's true.
Yeah.
Like when I'm meditating and doing my rituals, dogs, cats, so they always sit next to me because they can feel the energy. You also know how enlightened you are when you're like hanging out at festivals and how many kids hang out with you. It's like they just like hanging out with you. And I've learned so, like, I've been teaching dance. I'm a professional break dancer, so like before the whole tantric path, I was teaching breakdancing to refugees and things like that. Like kids can teach you so much.
Mhm.
How I overcame my social anxiety was hanging out with kids, and they do not have social anxiety.
Yeah.
If they want to like trick an adult into buying them cake and chocolates, they will use these different techniques that they taught me on how to do it. So they taught me this thing with like stones that they do, and it's like a puzzle.
Interesting.
And they said, if you could figure out this puzzle, if you can't figure out this puzzle,
You got to buy me cake.
yeah. And,
Yeah.
and I learned it, and now every festival I go to, because
Yeah.
I teach a lot, I do that trick.
Wow, interesting.
I get free cake.
That's cool. One of the things that I also like to tell people is that if you want to improve your longevity, peak performance, all get to altered states, and just get a lot of wisdom in a short amount of time, which is the biohacking sort of a way, is to hang out with people who are like people who are at least 2 times your age. So like let's say if my biological age right now is 32. By the way, I
You're
don't
32.
yeah, by the way, I don't count myself as age in terms of numbers, but I count my age in terms of percentage. So right now I'm 19.9% of my lifetime, which is I'm approximating that I'll live for 150 years old.
I'm
So a
gonna be
little bit-
300 for sure.
Yeah, so
I already know 300.
so right now I'm 19%, but I would love to hang out with people who are like 80, because the amount of wisdom that they have and the amount of things that they want to share, and they really want to help you out without judging you, without sort of like, and that's the whole story where you, back in the day in villages and tribes, there is one person who's leading the entire village. And if you want to have any sort of an advice, you go to that person, because chances are that that person is been in your situation, he's walked that path, he knows what to avoid, and he's fallen down.
The village elders.
Yeah, the village elders, which we often in this society we sort of like keep them aside, and we don't want to look at unless he's Warren Buffett or someone else like who's really old. But basically, if the person isn't successful in terms of finance, then we don't want to take their advice, and that happens to a lot of people's grandparents, parents. And the other subset of population, which is super interesting, is hang out with people who are like less than 14 years old. Like hang out with kids, because once you hang out with kids, they will they're just so pure, and like the way they approach things and the way they're so playful and curious, they bring an enormous amount of life force or life energy into your life, which you can always learn from, because you're somewhere where between the ages of me, Shaft, or everyone who's listening to the show, then you lose some of that curiosity, you lose some of that zest, and the adults will be your problem solvers, and the kids will be more of an inspiration to see life in a very, very good and bright way.
So yesterday I was at Global Village, and I still have this. I've seen and done so many crazy things that that's why I have a book and a YouTube channel. Like it's insane the stuff I've done, but every time I see fireworks, I still go, wow.
Yeah.
It never gets old. Every time I see a show or something, I'm like, wow. Because I used to suffer from depression. Like
Mhm.
since 1988, I've been depressed, and like it's been super shitty.
Mhm.
And there's many times I've tried to take my life and things like that. And it's like, I'm glad I didn't die, and
Mhm.
I'm able to inspire a lot of people. But I found that joy and childlike curiosity and awe, and just finding gratitude and simple joy in the most simple, basic things. Like I get really happy when I see a buffet.
Mhm.
Like take me to a buffet, and I'll be really happy.
Well, I'm fasting for more than 50 hours now. You better not mention about buffet.
Okay. So yeah, just going to see like how I overcame my depression was I learned about these biohacking tricks. If you smile for more than 90, like a big fake smile for more than 90 seconds, instead of focusing on I hate my life, the brain thinks you're actually genuinely happy because the body's moved in a way that
Mhm.
it starts releasing feel good chemicals.
Mhm.
There's a thing called laughter yoga. If you fake laugh until it's a real laugh, the chemicals that make you happy, they start to get released. There's certain postures you could do, like power poses,
Like the
and
Superman pose or
exactly,
the
yeah.
gorilla pose.
Like when I was depressed, my body
Yeah.
was depressed. But when I became happy, well, I've trained my habits and my bodies, and like tantra is basically body language. Change your body, change your mindset.
Mhm.
It's working that way around.
Mhm.
And that's why tantra is the most profound and quickest path to just being okay with yourself and becoming happier, because we work with the body first.
Mhm.
Talking therapy is in the West. In the East, it's all about shut the fuck up
Yeah.
and we'll just fix the body.
Because body can be a gateway to like other dimensions, your
Exactly,
personality,
yeah.
energy
The
bodies.
body always keeps a score, and like
Mhm.
this is where the traumas are stored, and this is what I briefly touched upon around sexual trauma.
Mhm.
If you're gonna be having some kind of sexual trauma, it's gonna be located here.
Mhm.
Every human has some kind of sexual trauma because we're
Mhm.
so uneducated about boundaries. No one knows how to say no. And I want your audience members to hear this. No is a sentence. If
No is
something
a
if
sentence.
something doesn't feel right, just say stop, pause, or no.
Mhm.
Something feels great, if it's a full bodied yes, like if your head, heart, and sex go, this is amazing, yes, then that's a full yes.
Mhm.
So it's a full bodied yes. Like Tantra is all about embodiment, it's embodied practices, it's somatic connection, head, heart, sex connection.
Mhm.
It's listening to your body, it's understanding your body. My body, I have incredible relationships with women
Mhm.
because my body chooses my partner. My body just like feels another human body, and she will feel it too. Remember, women feel everything. So when I connect with someone, it's an instant connection. I do not date anybody. I haven't done the whole dating thing for 9 years. It's
Mhm.
just like it's just I'm again. I've
But
been
you've had multiple partners,
I
or
have
you have multiple
I
partners.
live with my partner straight away.
Okay.
Like my love language is making money,
Mhm.
so I always see women as if I'm a king on the chessboard,
Mhm.
all my uh, pieces are queens.
Okay.
And each of these queens have their own ecosystems. And these women are leaders. These are powerful women who are leaders in their own communities and have their own ecosystem. So when I connect with someone, I'm able to combine empires so we become even more impact driven, so we could have bigger impact on the planet through our love. It's a
Mhm.
love based community. People are just trying to get the love of somebody. I'm more into like when I say making money, that means purpose. I'm purpose driven. I'm impact driven. How much more impact can I have on the planet? And is my partner going to be energy draining or help me spiral up?
Mhm.
That's the way you want to see your relationships. Only sleep with strong, inspiring women that enrich your life is my default setting. So
Mhm.
that's how I manage to have a very peaceful life in one partnership or multiple partnerships. Like I do a thing called relationship mastery, where you could actually design your own relationship.
And is this via manifesting or doing certain practices that attract these partners into
Yes,
your life,
yeah,
or it gives
yeah.
you a better ability to judge who is the right one and who's not?
I mean, you once you listen to your body rather than your brain and your traumas,
Mhm.
then you only have really good relationships.
You also mentioned about these 3 points, which is
Head,
your
heart, and
head,
sex.
heart, and
Yeah.
sex. When you look at a lot of these ancient modalities, then they mention this whole ancient system called the chakras,
Hmm.
and a lot of people think that there are 7 chakras, but there are many more.
Many more.
But
Yeah.
there are 7 chakras. Are you saying that you're looking at 3 isolated forms of these chakras, or is this something completely different?
It's a different system.
Okay.
Every belief system has different systems. I
Mhm.
remember Googling where is this second chakra? You got the Muladhara, the Swadhisthana, the Manipura, but where like what?
Yeah.
And it's all different colors. So different schools say different things. So it's
Mhm.
up to you as an individual to just be non-judgmental and go, that one works for me.
Okay. You also mentioned something about in some of your work about life being zeros and ones. So,
Yes.
what is
The foundation.
zeros and ones? Is this something from like this Matrix movie, or tell us more about it?
Life is just a bunch of decisions.
Mm-hmm.
In a computer, what we see is literally a bunch of zeros and ones. And how's that translate to tantra? The main core foundation of this, if we're in a simulation, is by saying yes or no.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. That's life.
Yes or no?
That and this is why a lot of people can't make decisions, because the implications of the yeses and nos could be so severe that they'll rather avoid it.
Mm-hmm. Interesting.
So when you go deep into the tantric arts, the world of understanding your body is actually like analyzing the data in your body. I'm really good at making decisions. Like for me, that's an easy thing.
Is it because you don't think about the outcome and what kind of impact it would have?
My life has been such a fucked up mess that
It
every
couldn't get yeah.
dude, I've lost everything many
Yeah,
times.
you died multiple times. Man.
Exactly.
Like, okay.
The amount of cows my mum has like sacrificed to Allah
Yeah.
is more than average just to keep me alive.
Yeah.
So yeah, I've lost my wealth, health, and relationships multiple times, only to get more and more.
Uh-huh.
And my health, that's like the most worst thing when you lose that. It's like all the money you had, you just have to pour it into your health to fix
Mhm.
it. Again, knowing the biohacking thing, so I could fix all my body now. It's amazing. So the what's the
Zeros
question?
and ones.
Zeros and ones, boundaries. So choices. When you start to analyze the data in your body, you can make better choices in life. And there's no such thing as a bad situation, because eventually later on in life, you'll look back at it and go, thank you for the lessons and the blessings. If that didn't happen, I wouldn't be where I am now. So all the major crisis points in your life, all the breakdowns become breakthroughs. And then you're able to go, thank you for the lessons. But when you're in the story, trust me, I was in the horrible story last year, which was all over the internet. I lost my business last year. It's really shit. Out of my own choice, I decided to stop doing all my tantric practices. I was like, I plateaued so much, like I can't get any bigger where I was. Being in the female empowerment industry, being in the tantric world, like I was one of the top teachers. I'm still one of the top teachers, one of the top healers. Like, what else can I do? There's nothing more. And then I was like, I wonder what would happen if I stopped these practices. And then I lost everything. Then I found Mind Valley, and I found all this other biohacking stuff, this new language, this new world, and coming back into normal society and integrating. So I'm able to navigate everything because I have an internal compass which guides me, which is my head, heart, and sex. And I'm able to say yes, no, or I could say yes to everything and no to everything. Like I could also fuck around with the whole system because
What about the negotiation part that you talked about?
negotiation is great. Like if something doesn't feel right, you could always negotiate and say, how about we do it like this? So for example, if someone comes up to you and says, hey, I want to give you a massage, and your brain is like, I don't fully trust this person, but they look kind of hot. You could say, how about you start off with massaging my hand? Then you could feel safe enough in your body to go, okay, maybe you can massage my shoulder. Okay.
Got it.
Then you relax a little bit more, and then you feel more comfortable, and then you go, okay, this person's kind of nice. Yeah, let's negotiate. What else can we explore together?
Would this be applicable for every situation, or is it only for situations where you're like sort of not sure and you want to like give it a go, but at the same time you're like, oh man, you're there's this voice in your head that's not saying either it's a no or a yes, but somewhere in the middle.
So we don't work with maybes. For us in this world, it's either a yes, no, and a maybe is also a no.
Maybe is a no. Okay.
Maybe is a no. So it's either a full. I want to be in a situation, especially in an intimate situation, where both parties are like, yes, yes.
Yeah.
Like it's a full yes.
It's a hell yes or it's a no.
Exactly. So this is how to train your body, because it's going to look at like you're not your thoughts. If you trust your body and you listen to your body, again, this is an embodiment practice. It's all about understanding your nervous system, coming into a space of homeostasis and like being just present. And then just feeling how you feel around that person. You know, when you like hang out with people and have conversations, you walk away and go, fuck, that was draining.
Yeah.
Oh
the
my god.
Sort of
yeah,
people,
exactly.
Energy
Or
vampires.
yeah, or there's people that you hang around and I just feel comfortable and safe around you. So I'm just talking and I feel really, really happy right now.
Yeah.
So I'm going to be walking out of here going, that was great.
Yeah.
So that's the vibe. Your vibe attracts your tribe. I like when I was a unicorn, I used to say fabulousness attracts fabulousness. I was always attracting people who identified themselves as unicorns. So I didn't have to like say, believe in this. It's like, hey, can we follow you? Because I've been by myself all this time and you seem to be knowing what you're doing. I'm like, yeah, I created this belief system. Come here.
Yeah. Join the
unicorn movement. Yeah.
Well, that is super interesting. I want to talk to you about sex for different individuals. So, two of the situations that most people in the world, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, for women, let's start with women. How many women do you think have orgasms? Or true orgasms?
60. Oh, what's the data again? 63% of American women, when questioned, did not have orgasms during sex. That's over half.
And why is that?
Oh, there's many reasons.
What would be some of the most common reasons why? Is it no connection? Is it some sort of a belief system that is stopping them from accessing that orgasmic states? And
this is my zone of genius. Thank you for asking.
There's. Well, I have to tell everyone just before I forget that in preparation for this interview, I wanted to also introduce Shaft with the kind of like, because he's not saying all this because he could see into the future. Like these things he's learned around it. He's traveled the entire world. I simply wanted to tell everyone on this show what kind of certifications has Shaft done, but there were way too many. Like, man, I wanted to tell people like, okay, he's blah 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 blah, and I'm like, no, I'm gonna give up because I can't remember all these things. And the amount of work and the amount of study that you have done is incredible. And like, really, I would love to sort of let everyone know and credit you for that, man. Good.
Thank you. Being a male in this environment is challenging. It can be tricky because a lot of people have a lot of judgments. Luckily, I'm super sexy, have great hair and abs. That is great. I get a lot of projections and judgments, but I'm just living in this life where I'm surrounded by beautiful people all the time. And it takes a lot of work to know that you are beautiful. I was not a good-looking kid, just so you know. my nickname.
You look great now.
Thank you very much. That's
So,
30,000 pounds of therapy.
Wow. What's the mantra?
I love my life. I love my body. I love myself.
Yeah. I love my life. I love my body. I love myself. Repeat it whenever you're in doubt.
Exactly. We do the 21-day challenges. With these mullahs, you say it 108 times every day for 21 days. It takes 3 weeks for the brain, mind, body chemicals to change and your habits change. Again, I work with addicts, so...
Yeah, neurons, the classic Hebb's law in neuroscience. Neurons that wire together, fire
Fire
together.
together, exactly. So the women who don't have orgasms, why is that? There's a medical condition called anorgasmia, the inability to have an orgasm by themselves or with a partner. You could Google it. There's a definition there. They're my favorite cases because they 100% of the time have an orgasm.
They do, and
They do.
they think that they don't, or it doesn't feel like it.
Nope. They just so when I'm in the places where I'm working, I've worked. These people have gone to the doctors. They prescribe them medication to suppress their emotions so they don't feel anything anymore. They numb them. Medication in the West is for suppression, but they don't talk about what are your habits? What got you to this state? They're like, oh, you got this problem. Have this. Catch you later. Everything is a bunch of habits. I'm just a sum of all my habits. I could have died because the sum of all my habits. But luckily, I'm living longer because all the new habits I had to learn, embody, and understand, and let go of all habits. So for women who suffer from a thing called anorgasmia, the inability to have an orgasm, something happened earlier on where it stopped them from opening up and being in a relaxed state when being in a state of pleasure or intimacy or trusting a man.
Interesting.
So it's all psychology based. So when I see these women and work with these women, I know that they have the ability to have an orgasm like that. They're the easiest cases to cure because the lack of education. Now, let me give you a quick example. When men touch a woman's vagina, when men connect with a woman, what is the first thing that they touch? They go, wah, wah,
Yeah.
and then bum, 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 sleep.
Yeah.
That's
It's
it.
like just
Mechanical.
Yeah.
Women, they're different to men. I mean, biologically, we're actually more similar than we are different. As fetuses, we were all women. Then we got our chromosomes, and then all of our bits changed. And for some reason, whoever created us, our G spots as men, they're up our bum holes, our prostate. Like, why did you do that? But yeah, that's the highest form of pleasure in a man. So that's
which most men are not getting.
They're not
They
even.
don't even know about this.
They
It's
don't
not even on their
exactly.
radar.
Oh, what's a higher? What's a really high case of cancer amongst men? Prostate cancer.
Prostate cancer. What's not being stimulated? The prostate.
Exactly. There's so many.
There are these devices. I don't know if you've heard of them, but there are these devices that men can use or their partners can use to stimulate the prostate. They're vibratory.
Yes, I have the blue Lilo, and I'm still my prostate. My life has changed so much because of anal de-armoring. So in the somatic trauma release therapies that we study and do, when you release trauma from the body, your life changes. You don't need to do talking therapy as much anymore. You don't have to take the ayahuascas or do the breath works or anything. Once it's physically released by a human or a crystal wand or whatever devices that you use, the tension that's in your body, the cortisol, the stress, the stories, the trauma releases. And in that space of relaxation, that needs to be like when you're massaging someone's back and you've got knots in the back, you release it, then you can move your shoulder more, right? You're just a little bit less stressed.
Yep.
Same with trauma inside the body, especially for men. We're tight, holding everything together. But when you relax that and have an anal de-armoring session, my life has changed. Like I used to be ungrounded, had like yeah, the longest lasting things that happened in my life when it comes to trauma release and therapy has been through genital de-armoring. Because all of our pain and suffering comes from some kind of relationship, usually intimate. Women can really relate to this more than men, but I've been shut down a lot because of my female male, like, my loving relationships. So the more I healed that and healed the connection with my mother, now I love my mom and I have incredible relationships with women, I'm able to be a lot more freer.
Yep.
And when it comes to women, especially with not feeling like they could relax enough to feel safe enough with a man, then they tense up and they can't allow the nervous system to relax, and their brain is stuck in their head. And the key, my job is to get them out the head into the body so they could feel more, to relax more, to have a relaxed nervous system so they feel safe in their own body, to just open up, to feel okay within themselves. So men touch women very differently. Women don't know how to express themselves because they don't know what they want as well, because of a lack of education. And my job is educating people about their biological makeup in their body, making men and women understand their pleasure pathways, to teach people that life is not like porn. Don't get educated from watching films, and start to actually understand your own body, understand how to release the oxytocin in your body, learn how to go into these longer orgasmic states. We call it a valley orgasm, where you don't actually have an orgasm, but you become orgasmic. And it's not your partner's responsibility to give you an orgasm. All the partner is doing is holding space for you to have your own orgasm. So that's how it
And
really
this is a
works.
state that you can teach people, correct?
Easy.
In your courses, you've got
Yeah, this is
courses
it's so simple.
Okay.
Like, it's so simple, people think it's not real. And this is why the doctors and the medications that are prescribed, they literally have to Google tantra or sexuality, and then my face comes up, and then it's like, that's why I'm getting booked all the time, because I'm the last resort for these people.
Okay. Let's turn the table. So let's talk about men. So with men, two of the most common things that happen is performance anxiety, and the other thing that happens is erectile dysfunctioning, or let's put it three, premature ejaculation as well. So
Big thing.
Yeah, what's your thought on this? Like, A, why is it happening? And
could tell
B,
you.
sort of, what's your take? How do you think people can fix it?
So I had a client, he was Indian, and he basically was caught, his marriage fell apart. He has 2 children, and she left him in the end because he would ejaculate within 30 seconds.
Ouch.
Yeah.
That could be hard.
And he couldn't understand why. The therapist and everybody, they just gave him pills, Viagra, all the things. They didn't ask him the most basic questions. So here's a case study that was one of my clients, and I healed him within like 2 sessions, easy. Again, I'm just talking to him. I just want to hear people's stories. All we are is a bag of bones and a bunch of stories. I'm just collecting the data, and I want to know, when was the last time this happened? And these are the simple questions that I ask, because everything is so fucking basic. So, Mr. Client, when was the last time this happened? This happened 4 weeks ago with this new partner. And I lasted 30 seconds, and I was overcome with shame, and she said it was okay. I was like, okay, great. When was the very first time this happened? And I get them to close their eyes, guide them through a meditation. Last time it happened, he remembers the time. The emotions come up. He's in the emotional state, he's in the story. Now I could get him to run the movie inside of his brain and go, when was the first time it ever happened? And he goes all the way back to when he was 13 years old, living in India, watching porn on his internet. He doesn't have a lock on his door. And his mum comes in and sees him masturbating, and she shouts at him, and he feels so much shame that he just, that's it. He's actually sexually traumatized.
Yeah.
Remember, everyone has sexual trauma. So he's sexually traumatized now, which means something to do with his genitals. He doesn't know how that one event echoes into the whole part of his adult life. He doesn't know that. He doesn't know how it's related. And I was like, okay, so at the age of 13, he gets caught masturbating. Ever since then, because he doesn't have a lock on his door, he trains his muscle memory to ejaculate fast,
so that the door doesn't get open,
and he doesn't get caught ever again. So he's trained his nervous system. The somatic connection, the pleasure pathways have to reach a state of ejaculation before his mum catches him.
And the body supports it.
Yes.
Interesting.
I'm playing Sherlock Holmes as a male sex expert, a therapist, a space holder, to listen to the stories and get to the root cause of these psychological reasons why their body acts the way it does. So my job's simple now. Now I know that I've got the data. I could see last time it happened and the first time it happened. And ever since then, before 30 seconds, now as I've studied so many things, my brain naturally will say, oh, he needs this tool, this tool, this tool. And I've done this with thousands and thousands of people now, and men and women, because we're more similar than we are different. I just have to hear the stories. My toolbox is so big that I could just say, try this, try this, try this. Here's your prescription. Catch you later.
Mhm. And it takes not so many. It's not
It
like
it
someone has to
doesn't.
depend on you for
No,
life. It's
no, it's so
simple things.
simple.
Simple things. Okay.
Habits. That's all it is. So guess what I told him to do.
Surprise me.
So it's simple. I could 10x your this 30 seconds to 3 minutes to 30 minutes.
Mhm.
Easy. All you gotta do, bro, is slow things down.
Mhm.
Because he's never slowed it down. Remember, his body's trained to do it for 30 seconds.
He's doing as fast and hard as possible.
Yes. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to give you a self pleasure practice. Instead of 30 seconds by yourself, because he's got to master his own body first before he connects with someone else, you got a 10-minute pleasure practice. What you're going to do is you're going to stimulate your whole body, not
Mhm.
just your penis, with coconut oil. Put on a playlist.
Why coconut oil?
Something to.
I'm a big fan of coconut oil. This
Yeah.
is why I'm trying to get like
It's
your
natural.
perspective.
It's just natural,
Okay.
and it's just you could glide around your body, and if you put it on instead of your just skin, it feels good. But you put oil or coconut oil, it feels amazing.
Okay. It's very
And
nourishing
it's
for the
natural,
muscles as well.
exactly. Yeah, it's very good for the whole body, and you could internal and external use.
Mhm.
There's many health benefits for coconut oil.
Antibacterial, antiviral,
Exactly, yeah.
all these sort of things as well.
It's like the miracle cure for everything. And
Yep.
if you oil pull for 15 minutes a day, your gum disease, your breath, everything
15
changes.
minutes?
It's a long time.
Yeah, it's a long time.
It's a
I do
really
it
long
for
time.
about 30 seconds.
Yeah, you
Should
could
I
do
be
it for
doing
it's 15 minutes.
longer?
Yeah, I used to have gum disease and like bad breath and everything. It's all gone. I've cured so many
Oh, oil
illnesses.
pulling. Sorry,
Oil
my
pulling.
bad. My bad. I do oil pulling for at least 10 minutes.
Yeah.
And the other thing that I was mentioning too is another Ayurvedic practice, which is tongue scraping.
Yeah.
So the tongue scraping
That's the best
that's
thing.
what I'm doing for 15 to 20 seconds. But the oil pulling, I'm doing with at least for like 10 to 12 minutes. So what I do is I wake up in the morning, I put the times that I can, I'll put the oil in my mouth. Either I'll drive to jiu-jitsu and like all the way that I'm driving, I'm having that
That's
on,
smart.
or I'm going for a walk with my dog, and then midway through I'll just spit up the
Yeah.
oil.
I'm trying to get back into the habit. I mean, I don't have bleeding gums anymore, which is
Mhm.
amazing. I only had bleeding gums from as long as I can remember until I went down that tangent path.
Mhm.
Penises, longevity. So here we
Yep.
go. Finishing off that story. Everybody, you're getting so much value from this. It's great. We've given you so many tools. It's fantastic.
Thank
So
you.
he basically had 10 minutes of a disciplined practice he had to do every day because
Mhm.
now I'm trying to revert 34 years of his life of doing the same thing over and over again. So he has to change his habit. So he's massaging his whole body, incorporating his lingam. And for the first week, he's just incorporating his lingam. He's just massaging his body. So now his habit is changing. Instead of his brain thinking, I could jerk off and 30 seconds, it's like, no, there's no goal now.
Mhm.
There's no goal. Second week, okay, now you're focusing only on your lingam, and now as you stacked up this 7-day practice, the next 7 days, which is the second week, we're going to get you to focus more on your lingam, and you're going to do these different strokes.
Mhm.
So you're changing your habits. Instead of going hard and fast, we're going to bring in the champagne bottle.
Mhm.
We're going to bring in the rainbow rub.
Mhm.
There's all these different types of way of activating your lingam, and you're going to incorporate your testosterone boosting place, which is your testosterone, your testicles, and we're going to bring in some testicle massage.
Mhm. I wanna quickly interrupt you for a moment. Do you know what is one thing that is sort of the ancients would say that go out naked first thing in the morning, and then the light hits your testes, and there are certain cells in the testes called the Leydig cells that are responsible for making testosterone. So this could be really interesting for your clients who have like a little bit of testosterone imbalance, which is expose yourself to natural light, but 99.99% of us cannot do it because where are you going to go naked, right? The other alternative that can boost testosterone levels up to 200% is having some sort of a red and near infrared light therapy. So just like you saw in the Mind Valley, when we
Mm.
have these tools of red light therapy, super easy. Shine red light on your balls, and that will increase your testosterone by 200%.
Also, ice cold showers. You can't
Also,
get
yeah,
cold showers here. It's like
you just take some ice and put it on your balls.
so that is really good.
Yeah.
Like I remember during COVID time, like the most basic tantric practices that we got taught was women massage your breasts for 10 minutes a day. They get firmer, bigger, but also the benefits again, reducing what are the cancers amongst
Breast cancer.
it's like guys, there's a reason why there's so much cancer in your genitals because they're neglected. Like these practices are anti-cancer causing.
So they're physically neglected and also mentally sort of neglected because no one
Yeah,
loves their body.
exactly.
Yeah.
So the most basic foundational level
Is saying,
boundaries.
I love myself.
I love my life.
my
I love my body. I love
my life.
myself.
Yeah.
Yes. But for women, massage your breast with coconut oil and take your time. It releases oxytocin and makes you feel in love with yourself. For men, you could get your testicles in a like a man bun and get it like this, and you could do this or
Okay.
this. You could like use your hands or the palm for 10 minutes. This activates and stimulates the testicles to release more testosterone.
Interesting. So do the red light and this and the ice and you're golden.
Yeah.
Shab, I could be talking to you for the entire day, but I know that you have to go, so we'll start wrapping up here, and maybe we can do a part two sometime later. So
I'm into it.
My last question to you would be: if you had a time machine, now this is my classic question that I ask everyone.
Buy bitcoins.
Yeah. And
That's
what
it.
and that's what I
Two
tell
words.
people.
2 words to my younger self. Buy bitcoins.
Buy Bitcoin. It's so funny that in every interview I have to tell this to people, like, hey, just don't say it that buy Bitcoins, but there's some sort of a connection because over the last 70 interviews that I've done,
We both
I've said
it.
this, and this is the first thing you say. So, I mean, it could be an Aquarian thing. It could be that we're in that space and holding up.
I
for
was
each
so
other.
rich. I was in full financial freedom just a couple of years ago. But then again, I had to lose it all just for me to be
Gain
here.
something
And
else.
exactly.
Yeah, then we would have never crossed our paths. So I'm
This
super
is it.
happy and grateful to whatever driving force there is in the universe to make us meet, and for all the audience to get to know about lingam and lingam simulating and like even yoni simulating things. So, but anyway, if this wasn't Bitcoin, what would be that one thing that you would go back to yourself and tell yourself?
This is actually a tantric practice. We do this a lot. Future selves and past selves. It's kind of like the 6 phase method. It's all the same stuff.
Because there's no, is this
There's no
because there's
time.
no time?
Yeah,
right.
no
So
time.
that's a hard concept for everyone who's listening, and we don't want to go that rabbit hole, but yeah, man, time is funny.
Yeah.
Time is funny and mysterious at the same time.
Like if you really think about it, we've been alive forever. Like since the dawn of the whatever came out the primordial soup. Like we like me as a person, it took so many humans for me to come to this place, and I have the cells of all of those humans. So I've lived. I could go back in time through all the cells back to the original.
Yeah,
so I could definitely go back in time.
That's a lot of people showing. Like these days, a lot of geneticists are being showing that there are intergenerational things that people carry. There is genetic coding that can store way too much information than the biggest the hardware guys like cloud computing. Like cloud computing is nothing when you can think of like how much each memory, each cell of yours can store, and how much it could be passed on. Like for example, you wouldn't like Shap, you wouldn't probably remember your great grandfather, but like his nose is probably on your face.
Exactly.
Like this is the sort of information that's going on for like millions of years.
The yogics knew it. So what would I say? Basically, chill the fuck out.
Chill the fuck out.
Chill the fuck out. It's all gonna work out fine. Look at your stories. Look how far you've come every single time. So yeah.
So take home
enjoy
message.
enjoy the ride.
chill the fuck out, enjoy the ride. Shaft, I know you've got so many, you've given us so many resources, and I personally, from me, from the whole audience, from Shift with CJ, from the biohacking community, from whatever force in the universe that got us together, thank you. I really
Thank you so
appreciate
much.
you,
I
all the
hope
work,
your
the
your
kindness.
audience finds some value in this.
Of course, and I got to learn so much from you.
What was your
You,
3 takeaways?
you, well, three things that first thing would be chill the fuck out,
Yeah.
because once you can sort
You
of
are not
like
your
give your
thoughts.
nervous system this message, then everything in life becomes easy.
Yeah.
So one takeaway for me is chill the fuck out, which I will try to incorporate in my life. Sometimes it gets a little bit stressful, like everyone's, but like I want to be more on the victor than the victim mindset. So I'll tell myself chill the fuck out. Second thing, really cool that I'm going to take away, and I'm going to encourage all of my audience to do is when in doubt, when your emotions are going low, tell yourself, I love
Love
my
my
life.
life. I
I
love
love
my
my
body.
body.
I
I
love
love myself.
myself.
Second thing,
I like
and the
that.
third thing that is really important is that start addressing. So people who have everyone might have you, regardless of where you're from and what kind of conditions you've grown up in. There might be some sort of traumas that you are not even aware about. That is outside your lens of reality. So all you have to do is, after listening to this whole conversation, is that if there are some aspects of your life that you cannot explain, some things that even doctors have told you, like, oh, that just happens. Nothing just happens. There's always a reason behind it. And what your role as a person is you could go two ways, according to me. One is the slow and long route with a lot of, like, monks would tell you, meditate for years and years, and one day you might have enlightenment, and it might be after many, many, many lifetimes. But then there's another way, which is a biohacker way. And the biohacker way is what the Buddhists or like these ancient gurus will tell you. This is a way to shortcut, but it's a little bit dangerous. But you know what? You don't have time. Like, of course, you want to do it fast, and the way to do it is to try for some time to solve it yourself, but then find someone out. Raise your hand. Go and find people like Shaft, and these guys have gone through way too much in terms of their personal life, in terms of their certification, in terms of people they have met and solved this whole scenario. So go to an expert, go to a village elder, go find a practitioner, raise your hand, tell them your problem. Like you said, sometimes it's the most simplest things, but it's outside your lens of reality, so you cannot see it. And it's designed in a way that you won't be able to see it. So get someone else in who can play Sherlock Holmes. So those are my three takeaways.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
You did a great job and a great summary. There's something that we do I always say, surround yourself with better versions of yourself.
Mhm.
If you're surrounding yourself with broke, celibate, traumatized hippies, you'll become the next broke, celibate, traumatized
You're
hippie.
the average of the 5 people you hang out
Exactly.
with.
If you hang around with millionaires, you'll be the next millionaire.
Mhm.
So yeah, it's as simple as that.
Amazing. Where can people find you? So you've got multiple things. You've got a course. You've got YouTube videos. You do private sessions. So where would be that one place that people can get access to all of the information?
At Shaft Uddin, Uddin, on Instagram and YouTube. They're so different, both of them. Like one's got millions of views, one's just got a few, but you could talk.
But you've got the link tree access to
exactly,
it, and people can easily click. If you are watching this on Instagram or on the podcast as well,
Instagram's the best way to actually talk to me.
On the showcase descriptions, we're going to provide all the links so you can get in touch with Chap. And Chap, really, man, thank you so much.
Get me on again. If your audience, if you liked it, make sure you give it a thumbs up or however it's going to like show the appreciation. Get him to get me back on again, because we haven't even touched the surface.
Yeah, we could be going on and on. So thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And this is CJ, your host, signing out from the Shift with CJ podcast. Everyone, have a great day, great week, great lifetime ahead of you. And remember, love yourself,
love your body,
life, and love your body.
yourself.
Ciao.